This episode of Filmhouse is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy today at expressvpn.com/film. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Filmhouse. My guests this week are Adam Kovic, film lover.
Hello.
Adam Kovic, official title, film lover.
I love film so much.
But I'm also really excited to have on Dorian Parks of Collider
Hey.
Games and Geeks of Color here.
Thank you guys for having me. What's up, man? I'm super excited. I watch you guys all the time, and we've done some stuff in the past. So getting to team up with you guys again is just as exciting.
Yeah, we've been in
man.
each other's DMs for a while trying to coordinate this, but it seems like you've been pretty busy. You've been doing a lot of stuff since work from home.
A little bit, yeah. It's been fun. We've been doing a bunch of virtual interviews with Geeks of Color with some of the talent from these upcoming shows and movies. So it's been exciting to do that, as well as with Collider Games. I've been just playing a bunch of video games. Your boy just got a PC setup, so I've just been diving into all these.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I just started. I know it's been out for a while, but I just started playing Halo, and now that I actually have friends to do, I don't get the split screen type of thing, but I'm still playing co-op with them online, so that's been a fun experience.
Oh, like you're like playing Halo, like starting from Halo 1 for the first time, like going through it?
Starting from
Wow.
Master Chief Collection, I assume. Yeah.
on game,
Yeah.
so I've just been diving in.
That's
Nice.
crazy. That's wild. I'm just curious. We will not get. We're going to talk about films. We're going to talk about Tenet. We're going to talk about the rise of new ways to watch movies, and then also some of our personal favorite picks. But before we move into that, I'm just curious the perspective of someone who's playing Halo for the first time now in 2020. What do you think of it?
Dude, I'm absolutely loving it. Yeah, sure, the graphics aren't super amazing, especially if you click tab and you can see how the old version of it, but just it's been blowing me away. Like the story itself, especially getting to play co-op with some friends online and just drive around that warthog. Like I could drive around that warthog all day and just shoot.
Yeah. Now imagine that, but a film made by Neil Blomkamp in his prime.
Yeah.
And bro, the thing about it is I got to go to New Zealand a few years ago for a set visit, and at Weta Digital they had the original warthog that they were going to use for that movie. It was sick, and I didn't have appreciation for it at the time, but now I do. It was a sight for it was just beautiful.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Yeah. What could have been? Halo's back on the mindset. This was recorded on July 23rd, and so this morning was the Xbox Games Showcase, and they showed off Halo Infinite, which is a pretty wild throwback to the franchise. So
Yeah, it's funny that you're playing the original Halo, and the new one is more like original Halo. So maybe you
You're
just
gonna be
skip
fine
right
for it.
ahead to number 6, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've done a little I've done some of the story for the campaign for Halo 1, but my friends have also let me play a little bit of Reach because they said that one's the best one thus far. So I jumped into Reach, and I've been playing that a little bit as well, and I'm loving that too.
it's
They
awesome.
let you. I love that. Yeah. They're like, all right, you can get it. You can get a taste, Dorian, just a little bit, but we don't want to. It's technically a prequel, so you could really start with that one and be fine. Do we talk about movies on this podcast?
Yeah, we're going to talk about movies now, right? No. I asked you.
I will talk about Halo. We can do a Halo podcast.
I
That's
have
fine.
to interrupt right now, otherwise the two of you will just talk about Halo for the next 90 minutes. No, so I just wanted, again, we've been doing this podcast still weekly for the most part. We had a change of pace last week, and so we, instead of doing a podcast style, we kind of did an exploratory discussion on Vin Diesel and his career and kind of why he is the person he was. So I just wanted to thank our audience for watching that and giving us your feedback on that. We are going to at least try, I believe, Adam, we're going to try at least one more, maybe. We have some ideas for another
we got a
one.
meeting today. We're gonna talk some more. I think we're gonna keep going. You know what? Even if it didn't do gangbusters, didn't do the billions of views that
we're
all of
used
our
to.
friends,
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah, we all get those big home runs, but. I think we really enjoyed it. The audience really enjoyed it, so we're gonna keep at it.
Yeah. So we'll hear more from that once we kind of narrow down that topic and open you guys up to that process. There's obviously no movies that we can really review all that much. Next week, Elise actually does have some plans because we figured out there is a movie that we've all seen together. So I won't spoil that, but we are going to be doing a movie discussion kind of review next week. I'm covering news. Not a lot of it. Dorian, there's not a lot of news. But the biggest story that I could really find this week was about Tenet, which it's that it was delayed again, which isn't necessarily that surprising, except now it seems like this is the official defeat of this movie. My perception of this whole event was that people were weirdly looking to this Christopher Nolan film as this is when we know we'll be okay again. Like this is the sign of things getting back to normal. And I think the fact that they have now, because they pushed it a little bit, they're like, we'll push it a little bit. We'll push it a little bit. Now they've delayed it and they're like, we don't even know. We don't know when this movie's coming out.
It was supposed to be like our Gandalf after Helm's Deep. It would be that shining beacon that we see, but it's Chris Nolan and every actor that looks like him that he puts in his movies.
Yeah, so I'm just curious, what is your guys' reaction to this? And number one, how it affects maybe your hype for this movie, how it kind of, but also like, what do you think will be the fate of this movie, and then kind of move like big blockbuster movies like this going forward? Because I feel like lots of things are getting pushed.
Dude, honestly, like I'm glad they pushed it or just took it off the schedule indefinitely, because if you just kept pushing the date back, and it would just create this false hope. Because as we were getting closer to its new date, I was kind of optimistic. I was like, all right, I would maybe go see it. But as like we've just been seeing the news and stuff like that, the situation just been getting worse and worse, especially in California. So I've just been like, there's no way in hell I'm risking going to a theater and sitting there for 2 hours, because all it takes is one call from somebody, starts at the beginning of the movie, I would walk out. So I'm glad that they're just being safe and taking it off the schedule indefinitely, and then I'd rather them hold off on it completely, not release it online or anything like that, and just wait until everything is safe again, and to push this big blockbuster out. Because I think there's a difference between like a movie like this, and then as of today they just announced that Bill and Ted will be on video demand, and something like that I think works better online. So I think it just depends on the movie itself, whether it should be like online versus waiting until the theaters are open. So I'm glad they pulled it off indefinitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wish they would do something though where you could watch it, like you pay for it, you basically buy the movie ticket now, and then you can watch the download version, and then when things are better, you promise to go to the movie theater and watch it later. And you have to do some social engagement or something, like, I'm fulfilling my part of the deal, Chris.
Tweet at Christopher Nolan and let him know.
Yes, like this is me watching the movie. A thumbs up. It was great. Had some cool action in it. What a twist! Didn't expect that. It's a Chris Nolan movie. It's going to be fun, and time's going to be weird, and that's okay because I love his movies. I rewatched what's The Prestige just the other week, and it's still good. Surprise.
Well, I mean, it's like interesting that both of you mentioned, watching at home with the Bill and Ted. It's like, okay, that sure. Yeah. Bill and Ted, we've crossed the line of what makes something a straight to home, right? It's not, it doesn't mean the same. It doesn't mean you're a Return of Jafar anymore. And so, it is interesting that if anyone was going to hold the line on this, it'd be Christopher Nolan. There were some rumors circulating about like, oh, well, it's a Warner Brothers movie. Maybe it'll come to HBO Max. Quick disclosure, we work for Rooster Teeth, which is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers. Just so everyone knows at home, we have no idea. No one's told us nothing. But John Stankey, the CEO of Warner Media, has officially said no. Like, we're not going to do that, probably because he doesn't want to gain the ire of Christopher Nolan.
Well, full disclosure, John Stankey called me first to make sure that was okay. That's just where we fall in line. He calls up and just says, hey, is it okay if I announce that we're not going to put on HBO now?
It's
HBO
Adam,
Max.
then
fine.
Stockholders, members of the board. Yeah.
Well, we just talk like, old pals. Like, we're just both on the foot of our bed, just with our feet up in the air, just talking about stuff, stocks, acquisitions, those sorts of things. So full disclosure, just want to put that out there. I got my HBO Max jacket the other day. Did you get yours, James?
I did. This is a silly thing. Again, Dorian, this is the absurdity of our lives. But obviously, because we are Warner Brothers subsidiaries, a package arrived. I was like, what is this? And I open it up, and it's a jacket that says congratulations on HBO Max. And I'm like, you're welcome. Had nothing to do with it, but you are happy to help. Happy to be part of the team.
Man, they do. I'm not gonna lie. They send out some nice stuff like that. Like
Hmm.
they were getting ready for their like the launch. They sent this big care package. I was like, bro, what are y'all
Yeah.
doing? Thank you, but like,
Oh.
they go all out.
Yeah,
I
for
didn't
sure.
get that. Man, I just got a bill.
Yeah, you just started paying for it.
Yeah. I didn't even opt in. That's weird.
Well, so Adam, you would watch Tenet at home. You would be okay with that?
Yeah, but I guess also I'm not exactly a purist in the same way Chris Nolan and Quentin Tarantino are, in the way that they get private screenings all the time. So they're like, you have to see it in the movie theater. I see movies like everyone else, and the movie theater experience has only been getting worse. And I can't imagine it being any better in a post-pandemic world. And I get it. I totally get it, where it's like, this is not the best way of watching a movie is in your living room. But I would make the argument that it is getting better, and the movies are only better if you put your phone down. But it is nice that if you got to go to the bathroom, you can pause it and you can come back. I know that's not the best way of doing it, but the living room experience is catching up, I think, faster than David Lynch would like it to.
And then that's not to say I definitely would give it a chance like online. Like if they made the decision to do it, I wouldn't just wait and say like, oh no, I'm not gonna watch this. I'd rather see it on the theater. Like I think I have a decent enough TV, and to turn down the lights, get the mood right, get the ambiance. I think it wouldn't have like like I wouldn't get that loud effect or anything like sitting in a theater, but I think I'd still be fine with the how I'm taking it in. Like I think it wouldn't be as good, but I like Adam said, like I think I would be fine with it. So I would be fine with them releasing online. But my preference for this movie specifically, just because I'm a big fan of John David Washington, I'd rather it be in the big theater so they can potentially hopefully make back their money for this, because I assume that they put a lot of money into this.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that no matter the math that you do on downloads and stuff, it really doesn't, I don't think it compares to how much money selling a ticket to a movie theater makes. Like, and then also when you consider the theaters, you buy popcorn, it's a whole thing. When you're watching at home, you're probably going to pay for it once. So say $20, they charge you $20 for it. But that means you and anyone that you're sharing your home with are all going to watch it together. And you're going to microwave whatever's in your freezer or something like that. And so it is interesting to think about how much of that money is left on the table through downloads. I know Trolls World Tour was like cited as being really, really successful. But even then, I don't know that it was successful in terms of a day one download kind of thing. I don't think that it was a blockbuster by any means.
It's interesting though. There's a lot of parallels here to the music industry, obviously, with things going digital and that sort of thing. And the music industry obviously fought it for as long as they could, but it happened so quickly. It felt like someone snapped their fingers and it was over. Movies have been holding on to the theater model for so much longer because it creates that basically that artificial inflation of making that money. And that's how it's been. And they've been in control long enough that it has been that way. And I was always wondering, like, what was going to be that thing that pushed it over? And you said it perfectly before, James. It is like a caste system almost of like, or like a totem pole of, well, there's Tenet up here, but then there's Scoob and Trolls World Tour down here. Tenet gets a theater release. It doesn't get digital because it sort of like, I guess, taints it a little bit. But like, I feel like with Netflix and The Irishman and movies like that, they're showing that the bigger sort of prestigious movies can come out via streaming, but it's still being fought tooth and nail.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it has to also be by design, right? So something like Tenet was made through the classic studio system of, budgeting that way and raising the capital, knowing that, okay, well, we're going to get $1 billion back on this, $300 million investment. So that's how it's just going to work. I think the difference with something like Irishman, and I'm agreeing with you, is that Irishman was already paid for. Like Netflix made the money in 2016 from their subscription services, and they said, hey, there's enough of this money that we can make the movie Irishman. and all we need are the people to continue subscribing, and then that's how it recoups. So it's weird because I mean it's the same thing, right, Dorian? It's like it's you raise money, you make a movie, but then it's the accounting that's different. And I know Hollywood is notorious for its wacky accounting and stuff, but it's funny how much that factors in.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see like now that Tenet has been pulled indefinitely. Like you have Disney movies, you have Black Widow still on this. I mean, still on the calendar. You also have Wonder Woman that is on the calendar as well. So I think it'd be interesting to see if Disney goes ahead and like pulls it and just says like, hey, let's put Mulan on Disney Plus and see how it performs. Because I think we saw like I don't know the exact math, but there was a definite spike when they put the Hamilton the Hamilton film on Disney Plus, and they took away the free trial that you could get for a week, and they made people actually subscribe, and they saw like a huge spike and that's Hamilton. Like I know there's a lot of theater people and there's a lot of people that have been wanting to see it, but I think there was something with like a Mulan or a Black Widow that has massive appeal worldwide. It would be interesting to see if they tested one of those two movies and say, all right, let's do it on Disney Plus. Let's see what turns out from it, and then go from there and gauge whether they need to do something else. Because I also like I think the New Mutants is another example that there's contract stuff with like HBO or something like that that they have first streaming rights. But I definitely would. I think at any movie that has the potential to go to streaming service, it needs to be New Mutants because that's been delayed 5 times. Like not in this pandemic, that would be the least movie I would want to go risk anything for to see it in theaters. So
it's such a coin flip.
It's funny you mentioned real quick. You mentioned Hamilton. I got a buzz on my phone last night for a calendar event that I had set for myself in March, I think, for my Hamilton tickets. I was like, oh, it's showtime. Hamilton. At least nice sitting on the couch because we had tickets for March. Oh damn. We finally got tickets. Hamilton's been around for I don't know how long. We're like, okay, it's coming back to LA. We're like, we're gonna go. Got tickets for March, and then of course that got killed off, and we're like, we're not going. But when they canceled that one, they're like, don't worry, we're gonna open up more showings later on. So I was like, oh, that's fine. I'll just buy some tickets for a show months from now. And it was for last night, and I was like, oh right, I mean, I knew it was canceled, but it was just a fun reminder that I was like, how long have we been in this?
But now you've seen the best version.
Yeah, did you watch it on Disney Plus?
I did watch it. Yeah, absolutely. Because I was like, there's no, I'm just not meant to see it live anytime soon. So I will watch the Disney Plus one. So I have seen it by this point, but it was still just a fun reminder of what life could have been.
It's funny though, like when I don't know of people who have seen it, like when they start the play and they like tell you what happens, and by the end of it they're like, and I'm the one that shot Hamilton. I'm like, why would they spoil this? And then I was like, oh man, so I was like,
I'm the only person who thought that was based on a Michael Bay milk commercial. I thought that's what that was, that got milk commercial. That's what spoiled it for me. Not the educational system. I didn't learn about the American history in any way, shape, or form constructively through the educational system I grew up in. But the Michael Bay directed Got Milk commercials. Anyway.
Got him an what is it, Emmy or whatever, or an Ace or whatever those awards are. Whatever, he's a hero. I in a typical my weird brain sort of thing, I did figure out how we can save the movie industry. And if any big John, if you're watching, Mr. Stanky, this is what you do. You take a play from the playbook of Twitch streamers and everyone else. We do stretch goals. So Black Widow, Tenet, all these things, they are on the service. They're there, but they're locked behind.
My God. Are you kidding
there's
me?
A meter. And they're like, if we hit this amount of subscribers, Tenet will be there for everyone. So you got to do it.
This is like when like toy makers like Hasbro discovered that Kickstarter was a thing. Like, wait, hold on, wait. They're like, well, Kickstarter it's mostly for people who want to make their own thing, and this is a way for them to crowdsource some money because they couldn't actually raise the capital on their own because they're just an independent thing. And then you have Hasbro going like, we are going to make a Sentinel action figure if we can raise the money on Kickstarter. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's bullshit.
I don't know. I'm crazy, but hey, if you want Black Widow,
it would work. It would work. Yeah.
Sign your mom up. Sign up your dead grandmother. Just do it.
It would work 1,000%.
Yes, and then you get your movie ticket sales back, and you're good to go. And then as soon as you lose those subscribers, you take it away.
Just drop it below. Yeah.
Just show them you're not messing around. You know?
I just think this is such an interesting cross section of events because, you know, like you were saying, like Mulan, I feel like Mulan is probably gonna fold at some point and they're just gonna throw it up on Disney Plus. I feel like though some of those movies are more there, but the reputation that Christopher Nolan films have, and Christopher Nolan, like the man who like yelled at me personally for watching something digitally, you know, like
from a moving car.
Yeah. And so he didn't actually, but I can imagine he may have thought to. But like he has such a reputation for like being a traditionalist on set and for his movies, and he's a very big believer in film and filming on film, and that digital is less important than, you know, frame size and everything like that. So he's very much a brick and mortar type filmmaker that I feel like if this were anyone else, we probably wouldn't be having as much of a discussion about it. I feel like we would have already moved into, sure, it's digital. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. You know, like they should just. I know people make jokes about it. They should just release the whole thing on Fortnite and make people watch through there.
Yeah.
To see
I don't.
is out.
I don't play. I don't play a lot of Fortnite. But did anyone watch anything in Fortnite? Has anyone done that yet?
I did I watched a little bit of the Travis Scott concert, like a little bit of that, but no, I too am not a Fortnite aficionado. Like once you say like I tried to start building one time a long time ago, I was like, nope, this isn't for me, and then never looked back.
Yeah.
Well, hard cut to the person knocking on Chris Nolan's door and be like, "It's time to go premiere the movie Fortnite." Hello, he hung himself. Oh God,
how did he do that so quickly? Yeah, I just think it's really interesting. The only other one that I think kind of lands this close for me is James Bond. Because those are real big releases. I think Mulan is going to be really good. Like it looks really good to me, and it's obviously an epic big made movie or whatever, but I think because Disney is in this like kind of yearly release, it feels like it's part of that, and so it doesn't feel like a giant epic adventure as much as it does another episode of Disney remaking its old stories. But James Bond only comes around like once in a while, and this is the last Daniel Craig, and you know it's all action, and you're supposed to experience it. So I'm genuinely curious if that one folds.
And interestingly enough, just sidetracked about Mulan real quick. That was the last movie I saw in theaters, and I will say they would be smart to just put it on Disney Plus.
Oh really? Oh. Okay.
No, it's not to knock it or anything. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I think it would make more sense for them to put it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it can still rally the audience on Disney Plus, watching at home with the lights turned down and stuff.
Exactly. Like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I genuinely don't know. I'm curious. I think I'm out of the naive stage of things of thinking that I'm going to get back to normal. I like everyone here, maybe Adam less so. Miss movie theaters as kind of a therapeutic experience. Something about sitting in a dark movie theater with everything optimized, and I never have to turn the volume up for the quiet scenes and the volume down for the loud scenes, or like everything's for the most part optimized. Also, us in LA, we got kind of screwed because we finally got a draft house. We finally got a draft house, and that became part of like Elise and I. That's like our routine was like, oh, we'll go to draft house. Like we'd save a little bit. Okay, well, we could either see the movie this week or we can wait a couple weeks, save a little bit, and then go to a draft house and get popcorn and make it a whole thing, right? And so we finally got it, and now I can't go.
I love the draft house. Like I'm originally from Austin, Texas, so I grew up just going to those type of theaters. And once they introduced it here, like I think I was there for like the opening day when they opened it up. So it's been hard, especially because I live in the Valley. I didn't get to go as much, but yeah, that was a true experience. Like I love the draft house, man. Like
for sure.
The ultimate gamble was going to the AMC Dolby theater because each ticket was like $45 or something stupid, but that is where I saw Spider-Verse, the Spider-Verse.
Nice.
And the sound on that movie was so good. I remember I took my sister like a week later to like an AMC dine-in or whatever, and the speakers were blown out and garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, it wasn't the same. And it's just like, it's such a gamble to go to the movie sometimes where it's like, maybe the sound system, or you get spoiled by like a really good sound system. That's also sort of the issue with theaters in general, is like James, you were saying, sometimes your sound system, you know, the lows are too low and the highs are too high, but at least I'm in control of that. It's really frustrating when you spend $15 on a ticket and you can't hear, you know, what the actor is saying.
I get that.
So
yeah.
But it's like, but man, I remember my seat shaking and feeling that like that loud hum of the opening crawl of Into the Spider-Verse. And I was just being like, this is something like your seat is shaking when the Prowler comes out and his theme like just cuts through you like a knife. And then you go see another theater and you're like, turn it up. You know, you put a little horn on your ear. So that is another just an ongoing issue with movie theaters for me.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like that there's still that desire though, like there's a social desire of movie theaters. I always think it's funny when someone's like, you go to the movies alone? I'm like, yeah, well, do you, of course I do. Do you talk? Like the only time you need to go to a movie theater with someone else is when it's Cats and that other person is Joel Rubin. But like most movies, you could sit there, you should be sitting there quietly and taking it in. That being said, it is interesting how we are already kind of adapting to the situation we're in and the inability to socialize or at least to maintain social distancing while going to the movie. It's like one of the essentials. We need to get toilet paper, make sure we have good internet, and go to the movies are like the things human beings have wanted since the beginning of time. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how human beings are adapting to our new situation right after a word from our sponsor. All right, you've heard us talk a lot about ExpressVPN and how important it is to just have a VPN in general. And now that a lot of people are working from home, including me, it's more important to choose a VPN that you trust. Now, I actually do some research on the sponsors that we recommend and the brands that we believe in, and I can say confidently that ExpressVPN is the best VPN on the market. And here's why. Number one, ExpressVPN doesn't log your data. Lots of really cheap or free VPNs make money by selling your data to ad companies, which kind of, in my opinion, defeats the purpose of having a VPN in the first place. ExpressVPN developed technology called Trusted Server that makes it impossible for their servers to log any of your info. Number two, speed. We've tried other VPNs in the past. Many slow your connection down or make your device sluggish. I've been using ExpressVPN for months now, and my internet speeds are just as fast as they ever were, even when I connect to servers that are thousands of miles away. It doesn't change the quality of the speeds that I'm getting. Something else that I appreciate about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. Unlike other VPNs, you don't have to input or program anything. You're not putting in IP addresses or these numbers that you don't even know what they mean. You just fire up the app, click one button, and you're connected. It's pretty easy that your grandparents could do it, even though they wouldn't know exactly what they're doing in the first place. Like, you could show them how to do it, and they wouldn't know what it would mean. But getting them to do it would take less time than explaining what they're actually doing. If you don't trust us, Wired, CNET, The Verge, and many other tech journals rate ExpressVPN the #1 VPN in the world. So protect yourself with the VPN that we use and trust. Use the link expressvpn.com/film today and get an extra 3 months free on a 1-year package. That's expressvpn.com/film. Visit expressvpn.com/film to learn more. So thank you very much for your sponsorship. So how are we going to see movies now in our modern age of viruses everywhere? It sucks, but I'm actually kind of excited for this because we are seeing a kind of rise in drive-in theaters again, kind of. Like it was a joke that like Jurassic Park was the highest grossing film in America like a month ago or whatever, and that's because it was showing in like 3 drive-in theaters or whatever. But it does seem like it's kind of coming back. How do you guys feel about drive-in theaters?
It's interesting that you brought up Spider-Verse, Adam, because next week my birthday is on. By the time I don't know when this is going up, but by the 29th, there's a
Hmm.
screening of Into the Spider-Verse. Amazon is a drive-in theater one, so I'm going for my birthday with some friends. So
Oh, really?
Nice.
yeah, it's dope. So I'm doing that, and that's going to be like my first ever drive-in movie theater experience. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, this is my first time doing anything like that. But like you said, you got to adapt to what's going on. And if I can see Spider Verse from the comfort of my car without having to, and without like still doing social distancing, then I'm going to do
Hmm.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, you go ahead, Adam. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying I've done the drive-in twice now during this, it's in I guess 6 months, so not a lot, but it's because they were just showing the same movies. But I would definitely go out for like a Spider-Verse sort of screening. There are still some issues, like now instead of the guy who doesn't know how to silence his phone at the theater, you have the guy who doesn't know how to turn off his headlights.
Hmm.
So and then he's in another lot because his
Hmm.
car's backwards. So there are some new issues getting over this thing, but I'm all for it. I think it is still a way to like socially do something different where you're not just like it's an event for us. We have to drive like an hour out of the city, which is, I think it's fine. It's an adventure. It's something to do. And like, we get a bunch of blankets. Jess has a RAV4. So we just, it's pretty big enough. We can just sit back there, lay down. We bring some movies, a little couple drinks. You have fun. It's pretty cool. Like I'm all for it. Bring back the drive-in. I think it's cool.
I never got to have drive-ins growing up. It always seemed like it was like, oh, that's the thing you see, but it doesn't actually exist. It wasn't until I moved out to LA and this is when Elise and I were dating, I guess you would say, that we were looking for things in LA to do, and we found that this is long years and years ago. There are still some drive-ins peppered around the greater LA area because if you can think of something, it probably exists somewhere in LA.
Yeah.
But they were such an archaic thing. We used to go to City of Industry, which most days is a flea market, but then on certain days is a drive-in, and it's just a big old, basically a parking lot, except that it has like humps so that way you can park your car at an angle so that way you can look up. And we went mostly because it was a double feature. It would be a double feature for $8, and it would be modern movies. So we went several times, saw a lot of movies there. But you basically kind of just have to sit in your car and then hope that the radio transmission is good enough for you to do it. That being said, I've been to other drive-in theaters that have been fantastic experiences that are probably in a lot of ways way better than going to a movie, where the audio is crisp and clear. I don't know, they have stronger radio antennas. And even better than that, there's like a space where if you can park your car, but then you can also hang out around your car. So there was one time in Toronto where Elise, myself, and our friend Melissa went to a drive-in and brought lawn chairs and like basically a boombox speaker, and just sat in the grass kind of, and then just had this giant screen underneath the night sky, and it was like it's just a wonderful viewing experience, especially if you're going to go see like a horror movie or something that's like classic drive-in. So what you're saying, I totally acknowledge. Like there's other hurdles to get over, but my hope is that we can find a sweet spot where even once this is all said and done, we have kind of upgraded the drive-in experience to be something that you might want to pursue. When you think about the fact that there's like whiskey tastings and stuff, like these really old things like that people still partake in as these luxury items, if this is still a thing that kind of came back as luxury items, I would totally be down for more drive-in experiences.
Yeah, I think that'd be the move, especially you have younger kids trying to be all retro and stuff like that, and get on Instagram and be social like that. So I think that would just inspire them more to want to do those type of things. And then like not like myself, but like it took me later on to like really fall in love with cinema. So I think that would be a great way to introduce new or old movies to younger kids that are just like maybe just dabbling in movies, but are like needing something to do, and then they end up going to one of these and it changes their life just because they love the environment, love the surroundings, things, and then they love the movie they're watching. So I definitely
Absolutely.
to expand the drive-in theater experience.
I think the
I would.
drive-in. Oh, go ahead. Good.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, nothing. I was just saying. Just touching on what you talked about. I did actually get to go to an old drive-in when I was a kid. That's where I think I saw Jurassic Park and Die Hard 3.
Nice.
Just when I would do visitations on the weekends with Dad, we'd go to the swap meet, same sort of thing. But it was those old school ones with the metal like speaker that you put on the side of your car, and it sounds like utter garbage.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, I think you guys are lucky, especially you, Dorian. Like your first going movie experience is you being able to pull in the movie over an FM radio, which sounds pretty good because you're right next to it.
And you probably have a reasonable car that has pretty good speakers in it, so.
Yeah. Just back in the day when you're like, what did John McClane say? It sounded really tinny. And then you realize that the speaker's broken. You have to roll your window down to listen to the guy next to you. But yeah, so you guys are lucky. I'm just saying, enjoy it.
Dorian, I really want you to let me know after. Obviously, you can't do it on the podcast, but let me know after how it was for you, because it's your first driving experience. I'm genuinely curious how it is and like what you thought as like a movie lover. But it's a really cool experience, and I think it kind of bridges that gap between it is a social. Like if you were like, I went to the drive-in alone, I would be like, that's a little bit weirder than going to a movie theater alone, because the drive-in is like the perfect opportunity to go with a couple people and be like, it's a movie, maybe it's an older movie, or it's something we're only half-heartedly going to see. And so it doesn't really matter if you're like shoveling sushi into your mouth while you're also kind of watching the movie, or you're like kind of chatting or something as things are going on. It's like the perfect experience for that. And so I'm curious. I'm genuinely curious to see what you thought of it.
Yeah, I'm excited, especially for it to be Into the Spider-Verse, which was my favorite movie of 2018. It should have won best movie of the year, but it won an Oscar anyway, so I can't complain. But yeah, so I'm definitely excited. It'll be an experience, because then like I'm going to see Into the Spider-Verse anyway, but like definitely plan on doing just more experiences like that in general, especially if they're doing old movies, because I don't know if y'all know me personally like super deep, but like I was late to the game for a lot of these older movies. Your boy, like, I just watched like Ghostbusters like last year, things like that. And the only reason why is because like up until like college or until I moved out here, like I was just die hard into basketball. Like my whole life like was just basketball. Like I'm like outside of school played on a select team. Then in college like played basketball. So like any other free time was just dedicated to that. So I didn't really like find my passion until I got to college, till I started taking TV writing classes and things like that, and just fell into movies. And then now I like started to like just to go back into the older movies that I missed, and then it's just like reinvigorating my spirit into these movies while still seeing like older, newer movies. Like Bill and Ted, I'd watched the original 2 last year as well, and so to like see the new trailer now and just to see where they're at like in such a short time it's been an experience.
Yeah, you're lucking out because you aren't waiting decades for these things. You're like, I just saw Ghostbusters, I get another one. But I think it's awesome
too, because if I'm excited for this sort of weird turnover that we're having, because I think seeing certain movies like that in a theater, hopefully, I mean, it depends where you go, but like a lot of times I think when you're at home watching stuff, you're tempted, right, to pull your phone out or pause it or anything like that. When you're in the theater, it's like the idea is that you're supposed to give it all of your attention, and then it becomes more of an immersive experience. So I am hoping that like the people who are like, I saw Godfather at home, it wasn't very good. It's like, well, what did you like about it? I don't know. I was playing Fortnite, and it's like, okay, well that's not how you should watch it. I don't know if that was their intention, but I'm going to guess not. So I am happy for younger people, ideally, or people who just maybe missed movies when they're in theaters. Like I was one of those kids who obviously never saw Star Wars in theaters because I was born in the 80s. But when they did the re-releases in theaters, it was great. I thought that was really cool. That is like they at least give you that experience. And yeah, to go to like Chris Nolan's point, like there's something very special about going to a cinema and getting that experience that maybe you won't get at home, and does feel kind of special. Maybe it feels like something that is going to go away eventually.
I mean, like I said at the top of this, I think it is like a weird human experience. Like movies are invented. So a bunch of people in a room saw a train coming at them, freaked out, thought they were all going to get run over, and they said, but then humanity as kind of as a group, or at least let's say well-to-do humanity, because I know there's people on this planet that have way more to worry about than when Tenet is coming out. But there's a certain aspect of humanity that was like, oh yeah, this is an experience that we're like totally down for, like this, and then shortly below is bungee jumping or whatever. So somehow we're going to trick all our humans to be into. But it's cool because building on the drive-in thing and just how people are trying to find a way to get back into movies. I saw a story recently. Have you heard about the floating boat cinema? Yeah, it's for our viewers and listeners. It's basically something that's going to happen down in like San Diego, and they're basically going to set up a movie screen on a large body of water, and then they are going to send boats out that can have 8 people per boat, but the boats are going to maintain social distancing. So you basically have a little pod, and then everyone can go and then sit and hang out. And that to me sounds, with the right movie, that sounds like incredible.
Hell yeah.
That sounds like so much fun.
Depending on the price, like your boy will take a train.
That's true.
Down there and it was like that. When I read that, when you sent me that, I was like, this is actually dope. Like, I'd be down for this, and it'd be cool too, because I know, like, I can't remember the specific place here. They do like screenings on the top of the roof, and you have like headphones that are synced to it, so you don't have to like hear it directly through the speaker. Like doing something like that as well, I think would be amazing. So I'd definitely be down. I wish they could do something like that in LA, but depending on the price, like I said, you can catch your boy in San Diego
on a boat. Yeah. It's great. I mean, sometimes the environment you watch it in is like really good, and it's, it doesn't always have to be a theater. They do the cemetery screenings, the Hollywood cemetery screenings. I've never been to one, but I'm like, oh man, I feel like that would be perfect for the perfect kind of thing. When the last time we had RTX in Australia, Elise and I spent some extra time there and ended up going to a movie. It was the first Jumanji, the first, I should say the second Jumanji, but the first one with The Rock in it. Welcome to the Jungle was screening on like the beach, like kind of on the lawn near the beach in Bondi Beach, and I was like, it was amazing. Like I thought the movie was fine, but I was like, I will always remember this film, because I was like eating pizza on the lawn as waves were crashing nearby on this screen that was just okay. And so with the right movie and like kind of the right location, man, I'm all down for it.
I know they've done these in like Thailand and stuff, so it's kind of cool they're doing it here.
What's that, Dorian?
Oh, sorry. This is just random as hell, but we were talking about older movies. I just wanted to say King of Comedy and Taxi Driver are two of the best movies ever made. King of Comedy is one of the best movies ever made, and that's
controversial statement there,
I would say, yeah.
And that's so like one of my favorite movies ever. Like I don't know for some reason I just like I went on a Scorsese binge, and then when King of Comedy came up, I was like, bro, why is this movie like, this is one of the best movies ever, man.
I was gonna say, I like that you're like, yeah, I'm gonna back the Scorsese horse. I think
I'm just saying,
this guy's got something.
This kid's got something.
No, yeah, it's awesome though. It's crazy when you look at some of these filmmakers. We're talking about Christopher Nolan and stuff, and we'll get slightly off topic, but like, it's crazy when you're like, how did you hit all these damn home runs?
Mark Pro.
We're talking about, after this, we're going to hear a word from our sponsor in just a minute, but like we talk about kind of hidden gems and stuff. And for whatever reason, like I've been really into Back to the Future recently. They're all 3 of them are on Netflix right now. And I'm like, Robert Zemeckis, some of his stuff is not good, but man, how many home runs has this dude hit in terms of just cinematic experiences and all different kinds of stuff? Like Steven Spielberg gets credit for doing sci-fi and drama and history and comedy and fantasy and all these things, but Robert Zemeckis has done a lot of those too, and a lot of his movies are pretty good too. It's just he's fantastic. not
I
the
have not
Prestige.
seen. So people have been telling like I'm going to watch it probably inevitably like Back to the Future 3. I haven't watched that. People have been telling me just to watch the first two and then just call it. But if you're saying to watch Back to the Future
No.
3,
Have you seen any of the Back to the Futures?
I I'm going to probably get a lot of crap. Yeah, I watched them last year as well. Like I went
Oh, okay.
and I love both of them. And then people were like, all right, just
Three's different. I mean, three.
And I've been like,
Yeah.
I
Three's
think
different because I feel like
it's-
it's the sci-fi fun of it that draws you kind of into that franchise. Like, the 50s, it seems like really tied to the world. The Western is like, oh, we made a Western movie. I think it's good, but it's still like, oh, we made a Western. Go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
No. I'm saying it's no one should gatekeep you for exploring, watching older films and having not seen it yet. No
And you
matter
already
when
watched-
you were born. Yeah.
You already watched two. If people are you already watched two, you're gonna like the characters. You might as well watch the third one. I personally don't think that three. I mean, one is far and away. Having watched one and two recently, like is far and away just a spectacular film. I think two is really fun and it's very nostalgic for the first movie, despite only having come out a few years later. And then three is like, okay, it's different, but I like these characters, so I will basically watch them in any scenario. But yeah. Anyway, before we get off on that tangent, I do want us to talk about just kind of what we're watching and recommend anything that we're into right now, deep cuts. But before that, let's hear a word from our sponsor. Everything is up in the air right now, and when things are uncertain, it tends to cause your routines to change, even if that routine is just brushing your teeth in the morning. So I'm going to ask you, how has your dental care routine changed? Are there other things you've done to make sure the routines in your life can stay consistent? Is that getting something delivered to your door instead of going out? Well, that can be the same case with your dental care. And honestly, that kind of concern is why I use Quip, and you should too. Here's a little fact for you. 75% of us use old, worn-out bristles that are ineffective, and even more people forget to floss daily. This is a facet of a broken routine. Good health starts with good habits. Quip makes it easy by delivering all the oral care essentials you need to brush and floss better. The Quip electric toothbrush has timed sonic vibrations with 30-second pulses to guide a dentist-recommended 2-minute routine, and there's even a sized-down version for kids or people with tiny mouths. When you pair this with Quip's anti-cavity toothpaste in mint or watermelon flavors, you get all the ingredients teeth actually need and none that they don't. Best of all, Quip has eco-friendly refillable floss with a dispenser that you keep for life and expanding string that helps you clean in between your teeth. But better than all of those items is the fact that those items, the Quip brush heads, the toothpaste, the floss refills, are automatically delivered on a dentist-recommended schedule every 3 months for just $5 each. A friendly reminder when it's time for a refresh and to stay committed to your oral health. Plus, shipping is free. So, join over 3 million happy customers and practice good oral care easily and affordably with Quip starting at $25. And if you go to getquip.com/film right now, you'll get your first refill for free. That's your first refill free at getquip.com/film. It's spelled getquip.com/film. Quip, the good habits company. So thank you very much for your sponsorship. Okay, as promised, we kind of already slipped into it talking about Back to the Future. But yeah, I just wanted to give us a chat, kind of close out this conversation with what we are watching. We can't go to movies, and there are new things coming out, but I feel like most of what I'm consuming are old things. So I'm just curious what you guys are watching.
Man, I've been watching a lot of TV actually. Like I've been doing a couple films here and there, but TV has just been I don't know. I've been binge watching a lot of stuff that I've missed over the past couple months or anything like that. But as far as like underrated gems or anything like that for TV shows, what I would recommend. These are older Netflix shows. I feel like never got as much love as they should have, and they were canceled way too early. The first one is The Get Down. Like that was one of my favorite shows, and I feel that did not get enough love, nor did it get the marketing it deserves. So the Get Down is the big one I have, and as well as Raising Dion. Like that's another sleeper that I think a lot of people missed on Netflix. Like I just recently watched that like a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was fantastic. And I think it got renewed for a second season as well. So those are 2 on Netflix. But this is just another comic book TV show, and I'll pass it before we keep going. But surprisingly, Stargirl, for TV shows like and comic books or whatever, Stargirl has been one of the most consistent. Like I think one of the best DC TV television shows we've got thus far in terms of consistency across its first season. Like I don't want to say game changing, but DC definitely knocked it out of the park with that one. I feel like it's not getting nearly as much shine or love as it deserves, because I feel like people, especially when it was put on the CW as well, people wrote it off and didn't give it the love it deserves. So I would definitely hope people flock to that. But I know those aren't old school, but those are what I've been.
No, they absolutely don't have to be. I mean, so I watched season 1 of The Get Down. Elise and I both watched it and loved it. And then season 2, for some reason, just didn't hook us. And so we and I think it just kind of like came and went. It felt like you said, it was undermarketed, so we never watched it. But Stargirl, I haven't even heard of.
And then another one is On My Block. It's on Netflix as well, and some of the acting, like at the beginning and throughout it, you can tell like this is another show that actors were actually kids, so the acting isn't the best, but you can tell like they kind of get into their roles. And I think the story itself is more interesting. So if you like take a backseat to the acting and just enjoy the story, I think that's another underrated that people should give a little bit more love to.
Cool, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been just kind of trying to keep up with what's coming out. We're going to talk more about this next week, but can we talk about that or no? I don't know. Should we spoil it?
We're talking. Yeah, you can mention it. Yeah, we're gonna discuss it.
So yeah, I watched Palm Springs last night. Really enjoyed it. I don't even want to say anything if you haven't. I would just say just see it. I had enough people tell me no, it's not a spoiler, but it's like this. That's a spoiler. But that's fine. It's okay. Actually, knowing that, I really did enjoy it. But if you want to see some other similar movies like that, I do have some recommendations. I've been watching. So after I saw The Prestige, watching again, I remember thinking, oh yeah, Chris Nolan loves time. There's a few other movies I think are worth checking out. Smaller ones. I think this one is on Netflix now, called Coherence. Much smaller movie, very small. Almost like the way they shot the movie is actually really interesting. It had like almost no script, but it has a really interesting premise. So it's definitely worth checking out. Similar vein, a lot tighter of a movie, Triangle. Same sort of idea. If you're interested in movies that do some kind of fun things with the idea of time and editing, that's another one that's definitely worth checking out. That's like not exactly horror, but kind of a weird psychological fun movie. Just kind of, those are like perfect movies to watch while you're at home. So I would definitely say, hey, you got a free evening, watch some movies you've never heard of. You might actually enjoy them.
And Adam, have you seen Freaks on Netflix? That movie Freaks.
The original one, the Google Gobble One of Us, or
no? It's an indie movie. It's about it's about a family who kind of has. I don't want to spoil too much about it because it's a very underrated movie that I think it's an indie movie that got picked up. It was originally got distributed through theaters, but it hit Netflix's streaming service like early this year. And for a while, it was stayed on there trending, but I think it's just the hype for it has died down. But that's a horror / superhero kind of small budget film that you could tell it was made on a budget, but how they utilize like the powers and things like that, I think that it was a very well done story that I would love to see more of. But yeah, that's a recommendation. And then for you mentioned Palm Springs, I absolutely love that movie. But another one I actually recently watched was King of Staten Island. That movie is incredible.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's definitely add that to the list. Like there was a couple quotes in that movie that just hit home. I was just like, damn, like I feel like this is attacking me. And then I also get called a dark skinned Pete Davidson. So it's pretty funny.
You shouldn't accept that. He should be a light skinned you.
That's what I'm saying. like a year, but still, yeah, I feel like that comparison.
That's awesome.
I know nothing about this Freaks movie, but I found a movie poster for it, and I want this on my wall. It's actually a really well designed.
What is that? An ice cream cone with blood coming out of it?
Yeah, it's super artsy. Like I dig this. I know you should never judge a book by its cover, but I like a good poster.
There's so many movies with freak in the title. There's Freaks, the old one. There's this new one, and then I think there's a movie from the '90s called Freaked, which is it has Alex Winter from Bill and Ted as the only possible scenario that I could connection that I can draw. But that was a weird movie that would just come on TV that would frighten me.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, there's a lot of nightmare puppetry
movie.
in this
Back in the
thing.
'90s when you could make whatever you wanted to. Like, what is it? Any Which Way But Loose? Isn't that the Nightmare Dan Aykroyd movie or whatever? Anyway,
or the Burr. Yeah.
I mentioned Robert Zemeckis. Again, kind of been on a Robert Zemeckis kick. Back to the Future 2. But I would also say the other, like a couple weeks ago, at least put on What Lies Beneath, the Michelle Pfeiffer Harrison Ford movie, which I remembered bits and pieces of from seeing as a kid. It's a Robert Zemeckis film. Most of it is just okay, but the last kind of like maybe third of the movie, it turns into a straight up like Hitchcock level thriller. And it's so well shot. Like in terms of, people give a lot of credit for people who can choreograph and direct action really well. Being able to choreograph and direct suspense, I think, is just as impressive. And the end of this movie is like amazing. Like so many shots that I've never seen since. Like I had never seen before and never seen since. There's one point where someone falls to the ground and the camera falls kind of with them, and then it actually goes beneath the floor because they built a invisible glass panel that the camera could go into the floor and shoot up through. And it's got some pretty remarkable shots in it. There's a couple bad CG now, but like a lot of it, the composition is like really, really cool. And so a movie that I remembered but had basically written off, I was like, aha, Robert Zemeckis is a genius, and his genius is still in this film, even if you don't think about it. And then the only other one that I would want to throw out is Starship Troopers. Rewatch Starship Troopers. Dorian, have you seen Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers.
Throw it on the list.
All right.
It's fantastic. It is. There's nothing really you can spoil about it, other than it's Paul Verhoeven doing what he does best, which is making satire that's as sharp as a knife. And so he adapted a novel about a pro-war kind of world. Like it's basically fascist propaganda, right? But he adapted that novel as satire of fascist propaganda. Mm-hmm. And so it's a weird double layer, but like watching it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so, it's so funny, number one, because once you're kind of aware of it and you're not taking it seriously, you're like, oh wait, this is someone mocking this. But it's also so entertaining. It's so much fun how it'll like break into commercials advertising like how important it is to be a citizen, go to war, fight the aliens, be a citizen. And then it'll show a guy like saluting, except he's missing like most of his arm on the left side. He's like, I joined the army and I wouldn't regret it. And he's like disfigured and like completely maimed by it, and in big old letters. I watched it again and I was like, oh my gosh, I really, really love this movie.
I was trying out, I was doing some like at home kind of like streaming setup, messing with it. And one of the movies I had is, I have my Blu-ray copy, my 4K copy of Starship Troopers. And I was like, oh, I wonder if I can do this through the network. And I started watching it and then I couldn't stop watching it. It's like, it's one of those movies like I mean, actually I would say, man, most Paul Verhoeven, not all, you don't have to watch basic. Oh wait, no, what's the one I'm thinking of? Striptease. Yeah.
Showgirls.
Showgirls, that's the one. Sorry. But like, yeah, RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, like those are like three perfect movies you could just watch back to back to back. And they're so like perfectly of their time period.
So good.
Starship Troopers, I think is like ageless. Even the CGI holds up pretty well.
It looks really, really good. They built a ton of practical, and then they also have some obviously computer graphics, but like all the space miniatures look amazing. Like I thought they looked amazing. Someone could tell me I'm wrong, but like I thought they looked amazing. I know we got to wrap up, but before we wrap up, I also want to say that Elise had never seen Can't Hardly Wait, so we watched that the other day on Netflix, and that was just like a feel good throwback 90s film, the most 90s. It has 3 instances of Smash Mouth in it. 2 Walking on the Suns, and then 1 other Smash Mouth song, because there's just like, it's basically like Suicide Squad, where there's a track for every single scene. And then we also watched 13 Ghosts last night as well. Produced by Robert Zemeckis. But we've been going through those Dark Castle movies, and that's what I got. Those are my picks.
Last thing before I wrap up too, Netflix, the last recommendations, I'm always going to plug it on wherever I'm talking about. Agent of Shield, Marvel's Agent of Shield. All 6 seasons are on Netflix right now, and they're entering their last season currently, which has been their best season, and it's Marvel's longest running TV show. So I just wanted to plug that. And another movie is The Old Guard that just dropped.
I haven't watched it
yet. It's there in Kiki Lane, badass. Like it is sick. The action in there is intense. So last recommendations. Awesome. I'm sorry.
No worries. No, absolutely. Thank you. You reminded me that we need to watch. The Old Guard. Definitely need to watch that. Well, I don't want to I don't want to keep you too long. Dorian, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad we finally got you on. We've been trying to do it for a while. Let's make sure to do it again soon. But before we go, where can people find more of you?
Guys, you can find me on Twitter at Dorian Parks and Rec. You can find me over on Collider Games YouTube channel, and most importantly, you can find me on Geeks of Color, my publication that I help run. And I'm just excited for the content to come. So yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, man. Absolutely. Thank you. And please let me know how your birthday goes with the drive-in.
For sure. I will definitely be excited.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys in the next Film House. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.